Hi, the title of today's session is Hit It Out of the Park with Job Embedded Professional Development. If you'd like to access the bit.ly link for this presentation, it is located right here on the slide so that you can pull that up on your device. As always, NCBOLD is designed to support educators in the use of digital tools and technology to enhance student learning. We strive to model best practices for educators, including data privacy and cybersecurity. As such, we want educators to be aware of the importance of following North Carolina's third-party vendor policy when using tools, so be sure to check with your district's policy prior to signing students up for any digital tools that you may use in the classroom. For this session, we are going to look at a few of the new digital learning competencies. We're going to focus on collaborating with colleagues for educators, empowering educators for our educational leaders, and for our coaches, we're going to look at personalized support for educators. The purpose of this session is to engage in a blended learning experience using playlists to gain a deeper understanding of job-embedded professional development and its benefits. Intended participant outcomes, we want you to be able to define job-embedded professional development and can explain how it is an effective model for teacher PD and how it can lead to sustainable change in teaching practices. And always what we want is that increased student success. My name is Jerri Sydes. I'm a digital learning and teaching facilitator in Onslow County Schools. I have been in education for 21 years, and my classroom background is in middle school math. However, I have been in this role as a DLTF in my county since 2010. Here's my contact information if you'd like to reach out to me after this session. There is a digital think sheet that you can access here by clicking on the link provided if you'd like to jot down any notes as we go through the session. So let's just start thinking about baseball because baseball is my favorite sport. So would you rather at a baseball game have peanuts or Cracker Jacks? Personally, I would get peanuts. However, I've had a lot of people say you get peanuts and Cracker Jack, so why not get the best of both worlds? So either or. So let's kind of take that thought of baseball and let's start thinking about how this may apply to education. Would you rather attend a week-long spring training camp once a year or have a batting coach work with you throughout the season? I'll give you a few seconds to think about that one. Okay, so let's look at the next one. Would you rather watch recordings of legendary players' techniques or have a mentor observe your games and provide immediate feedback? I'll give you some think time for that. And the last one, would you rather attend a lecture by a famous coach on effective pitching techniques or work with your team's pitching coach to improve your throw week by week? Okay, so hopefully you've had time to think about all three of those and have got a general idea of what you think about different approaches to player development. So the question leads to, what is the purpose of player development and how is it similar to PD for teachers? Well, of course, I had to ask ChatGPT, what is the purpose? So according to ChatGPT, player development is nurturing and honing the skills of individual athletes to maximize their potential and contribute to the success of a team. Okay, so then also according to ChatGPT, it says for teacher professional development, something kind of similar. So I'm looking at this definition and it says we are enhancing skills and their knowledge to stay updated on educational practices, ultimately benefiting student learning outcomes. So we can see from the two purposes that Chat GPT gave for player development and teacher professional development, that there's some overlapping ideas and concepts there about what is development. So I know I have actually walked out of some PD sessions before, and I've had that same emoji face over there, like eyes wide open, like, what did I just sit through for an hour? So we know that sometimes, even though the best intentions of the presenter is to give us things that we can use and that will help us help our students learn and be successful, and even with all of our best intentions at times, we know that it's just a miss and a swing and a miss, excuse me. So it's just a strikeout. So according to this article that came out in July of 2024, so just a little bit ago, last month, what makes traditional PD ineffective? So I'm looking at this picture. What does it look like to you? Like, to me, it looks like everybody's sitting there. They're being very compliant. They're sitting in rows, kind of like an old school classroom that we talk about, the kind of classrooms we don't want to walk by and see on our campuses. Nice little rows of students sitting in their desks, just busy working in their, paper and pencil, busy working. So this kind of looks very similar, but for adults. And just like with students, there's not a one size fits all. So traditional PD also tries to make a one size fits all approach, but we know for adults that doesn't work either because we all learn differently, just like students. Another way that it is ineffective is there's a lack of continuity and follow up. Sometimes it's just way too theoretical and abstract. There's insufficient collaboration and peer learning. And most importantly, we talk and want students to have their, agency and voice in their learning. And with traditional PD, we are ignoring that teacher agency and voice, which is important for adult learning. So then it comes to the question is, how can we design effective professional development? According to this article from the American Education Research Association that came out in December of 2023, PD must have 4 purposes in order to bring about sustained improvements in teaching practices. We must instill the insight number 1. We have to let the teachers understand and help them develop that deep understanding of how teaching and learning will be affected in their classroom from what they learn from that particular professional development session or opportunity. We have to motivate change. They have to be willing to try something new and be motivated to try it. Well, in our county, we have attached this particular job embedded model to being able to get a CEU credit at the end. And we have to have them have support there to try new teaching practices. We're asking them to stretch, and stretching can be uncomfortable, and sometimes stretching is painful. But if we're going to ask them to stretch, then we need to make sure that there is support in there as they're trying new teaching practices and implementing new technology. And then we have to give them embedded practice. They have to be able to practice this and use it so that it becomes just another tool in their toolbox that they can quickly pull out and use without having to really kind of think, oh my God, how did I do this? Like, they've done it so much, like they've got it. They can use it whenever they need it. In that same article, it has this chart, and I thought, oh, well, this is pretty informative because I've been in education for a while now, and I can actually look at this chart and know that there have been times throughout my career that I have fallen into one or more of these categories. So if I'm looking at the first one, and it says why PD can fail if it doesn't have purpose, and it's talking about the 4 different purposes that PD must have. I may know my why, and I'm motivated to change it, but I didn't have support there to give it a try, so I never practiced it. So I'm in this knowing doing gap. I know I should, but I don't. Same thing for the second one. I know my why, and I'm not really motivated to change it because I don't really think that it's going to work for my group of kids. So I don't try it and I don't practice it. So again, I'm in the knowing doing gap. And I can say in my 20 plus years of education, I've probably been in one of those two lines, category of teachers. I know, but I don't do. Um, the third one, I can also say that this has been me a time or two. I know the why. I'm motivated to try it. I may have even given it a try, but it didn't go so well. So I don't try it again, which means I don't practice it. So it's easy to revert back to the things that I've always done. Even though I know this particular teaching method or technology would be good for students, didn't go that well the first time, so not going to try that again. And then if I have everything else, but I don't know the why, lots of times it could be applied incorrectly. But if we have all four of those, then we can see that it is more likely to be an effective PD, which could go about and lead to sustainable changes in teaching. So in baseball, when things aren't going good on the mound, they'll give the bullpen a call and try something new. So that's exactly what we've done in Onslow County is we've tried another model to give teachers an opportunity to gain professional development. So what the question is, what type of PD integrates all four purposes of effective PD? And we've tried job embedded PD in our county. So when I look at this definition of job embedded PD, which came out in October of 2023, I see these particular words that stand out to me. Supporting teachers, teaching and learning. We're improving that teaching and learning. It's ongoing, it's relevant, it's practical to what they're doing in the context of their daily work, always to improve student outcomes. So in Onslow County, we decided to give this a try for the first time during the 22-23 school year. I've also linked here an infographic that I've sent out to teachers to kind of give them the gist and idea of what job embedded PD is. And here is our coaching log because we do submit this for a CEU for the teachers who participate. So we do have to log our meetings with the teachers and what we've talked about. And then this log, one per each participant, and then a roster signed off gets sent to the county office for teachers to receive their CEU. So those two are linked there for your reference. So how this came about, this is Dr. Tara Patterson, who is our Executive Director of Human Resources and Professional Development. And it was her work along with my department, which is the Digital Learning and Teaching Department, that kind of spearheaded this concept of job embedded PD in our county. It's centered around adult learning research, and we've had so much success with it that other content areas and content coordinators are also beginning to use this model to provide professional development in their areas as well. So Dr. Tara Patterson would be a great resource if anyone had any questions about what kind of ideas and how this all came about between her department and the Digital Learning and Teaching Department. So this is our playbook. The vision for our job embedded model would be that all meetings would take place during the school day. We wouldn't ask teachers to come in early. We wouldn't ask them to stay late unless that's when they wanted to meet. At an elementary school, I have two K-5 campuses that I work on in my county, and lots of times I meet with teachers during their specials. We even sometimes have a working lunch, just however we can fit it in during their normal school day, because we want it to be in the context of their normal day when they're here. Of course, the way it's designed, it is highly collaborative because they're constantly meeting with the DLTF on their campus. And we go through this particular coaching cycle that we've designed for our county. It's individually teacher driven. They come up with what they want to focus on. So when I meet with them, I don't go in there and say, we should try using Lumio, in social studies, or you should try this, or you should do that. I don't do It's all based on what they need. So when I go in there, I ask them, what would you like to focus on? What do you feel like some areas that maybe you need some additional support? And then through that, and we'll get to what is your PDP goals for this year. So how can I help you meet your PDP goals? So it's all about what their individual needs are to help them be the best teacher that they can be. There's constant built-in support through the coaching cycle. It's always focused on their professional growth because we want them to move up the rubric, the teacher evaluation rubric. So we always want them to be growing in their profession. And most importantly, them being active participants in the PD. The coaching cycle that we designed for our county is listed here. So we will meet with the teachers twice to plan what we will want to do for the first coaching cycle. In Onslow County, we do not give partial credit. So in order to get the 10 contact hours for a CEU, we do go through this cycle twice. But we always begin with some planning sessions. Then I will go in and model whatever we came up with for a session so that we go through that. Then we'll meet to reflect, because reflecting on your practice is the most important part of teaching, other than knowing your content and then just good instructional strategies and interventions to use with students. But just having that time in the day to reflect on how things went, what do you got to do differently? How did this help Johnny? Did it work? Did it help? Just that whole reflective piece, I think lots of times teachers don't get, because even in their car on their way home, they're probably decompressing before they get home to their own families. So having that reflection time built into the day through this coaching cycle, actually, I think is extremely beneficial. After we've reflected for the modeling session, then we'll co-teach a session, and then we'll reflect again. Then it's their turn to do a session on their own. Of course, we'll reflect again on how that went, and then we'll go through that cycle twice to get the 10 hours like I mentioned before. Some of our stats from our first couple of years of trying this. We are seeing that a lot of our heavy hitters are, of course, our K-5 teachers who are just kind of jumping in there and getting on board. We do have some success at the middle school level. If we have to kind of, drag somebody, off the field and into the dugout and get them to do, try something new, it's our high school teachers. But, that's a focus area for us, is to get those high school teachers to on board. They're so departmentalized and they do their thing. And so that's kind of a area for us that we want to continue to focus on and grow in. Also, our EC, if you put these other three little pieces together, that would be our EC department. And of course, we'd like to see some more participation in that area too. And I think we know even within their school day, they're so busy either in an IEP meeting, prepping for an IEP meeting, scheduling an IEP meeting. So there's, not much time in their day even to build in something like job embedded PD. But that is also another focus area for us. One surprise that we found, which was actually pretty exciting, is that most of our participants have been in that 6 to 15 year range of years of experience, which kind of, tells me that they're comfortable with their content. They feel like they've got their classroom management down pat. They're just looking for something new to earn some CEU credits and get some new ideas just to kind of, build up that teaching practice knowledge and keep adding to their toolbox. So that was pretty exciting to see that those teachers who got some years experience in the classroom and they are wanting more and new ideas. Also, we're really excited that everybody who has came through this model have given us good feedback when it comes to their level of support that they've received. So we are super excited about that, the statistic that we received. So for us, our big double play, and I think the reason that's been so successful in Onslow County is teachers do not see it as another thing to do because we're supporting what they're already doing in the classroom. So to them, it's a win-win. There have been a few things, we've had some mound visits. In our first year, we found out that we needed to limit the participants, the number of them in each PD offering, because there are a lot of times, a lot of meetings, and you want those meetings to be purposeful. You don't want it to be where you meet just to check it off. You want it to have some meat behind it and for it to bring about those lasting changes in teaching practice. So you don't want to rush through. So we've learned that we need to limit the number of participants each PD offering so those can be purposeful and meaningful meetings. And the coaching cycle is used to its benefits. And then also, I know I personally have had to use virtual meetings for some of the reflection sessions with teachers. I always plan face-to-face, and of course, if you're in your classroom, you're there with them, but occasionally I have had to use a virtual meeting for a reflection session. For this current school year coming up, DLCs are no longer a thing. So last year when we started, they were earning a DLC. Then midway through, those went away. So those teachers ended up earning a general credit for last school year. This school year, we're looking at them being able to earn a content credit, CEU. So we're going to have them pick one content area, and we're going to focus on that one content area for the whole 10 hours. So through both coaching cycles. So if it's math, we got to do math both cycles to get those 10 hours in to be able to get that one math CEU. And another thing that we're looking at doing is bringing in some data to the coaching cycle so we can help build that, practice of reflecting on the data, reflecting on the learning, reflecting on the students, and then using that data to drive the instructional design. So those are two things for this that we learned last year that we wanted to implement for the current school year, the 24-25 school year. So now we're going to do a graffiti gist. And if you haven't done a graffiti gist before, it is an EduProtocol. And each person in a group will check out a specific article and resource, and then we'll end up coming up with a gist statement. So let's look at how we're going to do that. So step one of a graffiti gist is each person in your group is to select a resource from the playlist Wakelet. So let me go ahead and click on the playlist Wakelet, or you can access that here. And then it's going to be titled, What's Your Walk-Up Song? So then you can pick your walk-up song. After you have picked your walk-up song and you've watched that and read the article that's attached to it, then you will come up with one statement from that article that was kind of like, oh, haven't thought about it that way, or just something that kind of gives you a new perspective. And then you're going to write that statement on your chart paper. And for this, we're going to be using a digital whiteboard. After that, you're going to kind of read over each person's statement. They're going to share their statement. And then as they are doing that, you're going to add to the chart paper any thoughts or ideas or specific things that they said that you're like, oh, that's good. Or any thoughts, made me think of this. Add that to the paper. So you're going to keep graffitiing up the paper or the whiteboard. After that, and everybody's shared, you're going to circle 7 to 8 words. And then based on those words that you feel are most impactful on the paper, you're going to come up with a statement about job-embedded professional development. Once you're done, there's a link to the slide deck for you to be able to add your just statement. And if you have time, you can add some images, but that's optional. So here's an example of one. If teachers are given choice in their own professional growth and voice in how they participate, student outcomes will increase. So that was this particular group's just statement. So just to kind of recap that again, and all the links are here for you. This is the job embedded playlist where you're going to pick a walk-up song and then read the article that's attached to that particular genre of music and walk-up song to deepen your understanding of job embedded professional development. Once you do that, you're going to write your one impactful statement from your resource onto the Canva whiteboard that's linked here. After that, everybody's going to share how they're going to share their resource. And then you're going to circle 7 to 8 words and then to come up with your gist statement, and then add your gist statement to the slide deck that's linked here. I'm going to give you 10 minutes to do that. And then after that, we'll come back together. Okay, so hopefully everybody's had time to create their gist statement. And then we'll go back and share those. One thing to consider is, and thinking ahead, is how can job embedded PD help reduce teacher attrition rate in North Carolina? So just a couple of charts here from the state of the teaching profession in North Carolina. We've had, experienced and licensed teachers. So we've lost about 11% of those and about 15% of beginning teachers in the 22-23 school year. And then this particular chart tells you the reasons why. So we have the majority of them were for personal reasons, so a big chunk of them were. But then down at the bottom here, we have these resigned to teach in another state, dissatisfied with teaching, and resigned due to a career change. So we have about 18, close to 20% that we know that we're just losing out of the profession that aren't coming back. So just thinking how this particular model could help, teachers want to stay in education. Because I read an article that said teachers will stay, or not really teachers, that people will stay at a less paying job if they feel valued and respected. But they'll leave a higher paying job if they don't. So if we bring in this concept of job embedded PD and kind of balance that, which some traditional PD, they'll just have to have, because we do have those things we just have to get trained on. But if we try to give them a balance of traditional and job embedded, and that job embedded gives them voice and agency to what they want to learn about and help them build the areas that they feel weakest in. It kind of shows them that we're treating them as professionals and that they know their needs, and we're there to support them 100% every step of the way as they build the skills that will help them strengthen those particular needs. So just kind of some ideas, and kind of just to, have you think about something as we get ready to end this session about job embedded professional development and how it can just help overall, not just the teachers on our campuses, but just overall across the state. So next we'll do Meet Me at the Concession Stand. So we're going to look at these particular 4 questions. And then there's a Padlet link here for you to go and answer one of those 4 questions that you want to, and then you can leave comments for each other on this Padlet. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that. And then just to kind of keep things in mind about job embedded PD, when we give teachers time to collaborate, practice, and reflect and see real classroom impact, that's a walk-off home run for job embedded PD. That's a win-win all day long. So if for Job Embedded PD. So if you have any questions or like to reach out after this session, please feel free to reach out to me either on Twitter or just email me at jerry.sides@onslow.k12.nc.us. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have a great school year.